Good afternoon and welcome to the signing ceremony of the financial agreement for the IPA Part 1 2020 with the presence of President of the Republic of Serbia, Aleksandar Vučić, and European Commissioner for Enlargement, Neighbourhood, Mr. Olivér Várhelyi, via video link. The agreement will be signed by the Minister Jadranka Joksimović and Head of the EU Delegation to the Republic of Serbia, Mr. Sem Fabrizi. I kindly ask the signatories to start the signing ceremony. Thank you. I kindly ask Minister for EU Integration, Madam Jadranka Joksimović, to take the floor. Madam Joksimović, the floor is yours. I want to thank you, dear Mr. President, dear Ambassador, dear Commissioner Várhelyi. This is really, like every year, one of the more important days on our European path. So every year, for some years back, I'll speak only as of 2014, as long as I was in charge. Before this, Mr. Vučić was Prime Minister. We started this job together, and I'm glad that today we can slowly finalize this 7-year-long period of pre-accession funds allocated to Serbia as a country which is deep into the accession process and which is entitled by the act of negotiating with the EU and accession process. It is entitled to grants that we colloquially name IPA. Those are pre-accession funds of the European Union, intended for the overall growth of the negotiating country and with the aim to have the country as much prepared as possible for becoming a member and to lower those internal regional differences within the country, as well as to get closer to the average of growth and development of European regions which created the European Union. This is why this help, like every year, as of 2014, though this help was present here even before that, but before that, this was quite invisible. When I became minister in 2014 in charge of funds, the visibility of IPA and European funds was below 5%. Today, I can proudly tell you that every third citizen of Serbia knows for some of the projects financed from the EU funds, whether we speak about some local projects like schools, infrastructure, kindergarten, roads, whether we speak about some big projects, facilities for purification of wastewaters that we started in Serbia. Some of the projects have started, some are being prepared, some have been delivered, but this is really important approach for understanding on behalf of our citizens why the European path is important. Yes, negotiations are important, reforms are important, but they bring concrete improvement and progress. And if Serbia were a member today, we would annually have 1.3, 1.4 billion funds from structural funds. In this way, as a candidate country as of 2014, and up to this, what we signed today with first part of IPA for 2020, I signed 1.3 billion euro. I'm speaking about 7-year period from 2014-2020. Take a look how differently this is the moment you become an EU member state and when you can annually invest money from structural funds into sustainable development and to follow and to work on daily basis when it comes to regional sustainable development policy. I would particularly like to emphasize this is only the first part for 2020 of IPA that we programmed in the amount of 70.2 million euro, and we soon expect to finalize the second part, which will be 98 million euro. So total allocation for 2020 will be 168 point something, well, let's say 168 million euro grants. Speaking about the area for this that are determined. The president will speak more about this because he's really, really familiar with everything that we do. And I would like to take this opportunity after the 6 or 7 years since we have jointly started this job. I have always had his support that all the projects that are strategically important for Serbia, for Serbia's development, speaking about social dimensions, for citizens, for people, that all the projects that are well prepared and that are not a product of somebody's political fantasies or needs, but something that is really prepared, something that is ready to go, and something that can bring benefit to the citizens of Serbia. And I really want to thank President for this several years long support to such an approach, which is not always so popular among colleagues, but this is something that we must work on. Just like we responsibly refer to use of the budget and the money of our citizens, in the same way we act responsibly when it comes to the money coming from the taxpayers from the EU. And I want our citizens to know this. We didn't have any bigger problems in programming this money. There were some more successful projects. There were some delays sometimes, things that could be done better locally, but simply this is the way it is. We are practicing for once we become a member state, and then much bigger funds which will contribute to development will come. I will just name the areas that will be helped from this program. First of all, it refers to the local economic development support, to the economy support for the employment, particularly of the groups that are not so easy to be employed. We're speaking about requalification of the young, of women, so to have them better positioned in the labor market with all these changes, also technological changes which change the labor market. So education, accessibility to the education system of the vulnerable groups and children with disabilities. Those are some programs that are going to be financed. Healthcare, which is really important in post-pandemic period, social protection at national and local level. The second part of the package, this 98 million euros that we will sign soon, I expect will refer to the projects for the protection of the environmental protection, energy, infrastructural projects, but also to the support of the EU process. I will not take much more of your time, but I just wanted to say some things that we can keep repeating. This is a very concrete, tangible help of the European Union. This is the way we develop our country. We lower regional inequalities, and with the all measures that this government and previous governments that have followed responsible economic politics. Of course, we are a little bit lagging behind European progress, but we have really good chances to continue this trend and even to accelerate. Thank you once again. European Commissioner for Enlargement and Neighbourhood will address us from the Rastels.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I hope that you hear me loud and clear. I did hear Jadranka Joksimović, Minister for European Affairs. It is my pleasure today with President Vučić to witness the signature of the first part of the EU 2020 assistance program for Serbia. This program is yet another proof of the EU's long-standing commitment to Serbia's European future. This commitment was reiterated most recently at the EU Western Balkan Zagreb Summit in early May. The EU's immediate support to Serbia in the midst of the COVID-19 crisis was also a clear demonstration of this commitment. During the crisis, we have fast-tracked EU funds. We have already spent 15 million euros for urgent health-related assistance, in particular buying and transporting medical equipment. With today's signature, the European Union pledges another 70 million euros in grants to support the economic and social recovery of Serbia following the COVID-19 crisis. This will benefit Serbian citizens directly by helping to improve Serbia's competitiveness and faster economic growth. The program signed today consists of 3 elements. First, we will provide grants to around 450 microenterprises and startups, enabling them to create jobs and in 2 regions of Serbia. We will invest in social and municipal infrastructure to support economic growth. Second, we will support employment and social policies for the most vulnerable groups who have also been amongst those most affected by the COVID-19 crisis. I'm talking about young people, I'm talking about persons with disabilities, women, and the Roma people. Third, we will support Serbia's EU-related reforms, in particular in the areas of energy, agriculture, transport, and health. The health component includes additional support to Serbia to tackle communicable diseases like the COVID-19. 2.5 million euros will be spent on medical supplies, and 1 million euro will allow Serbia's Ministry of Health to receive expertise from EU member states. The second part of EU's 2020 program for Serbia will bring even more support. A further 98 million euros will be agreed later this year, I hope very soon. It will provide further funding for the economic recovery of municipalities, SMEs, and to help boost tourism. It will focus on a green economy, helping Serbia deal with wastewater treatment, waste management, air quality, and energy efficiency. Let me close by taking a step back and look at all our relations more broadly. Since 2007, the EU has provided a total of 2.8 billion euros in grants to Serbia. This donation from the EU budget is among the highest per capita given to any non-EU country, and the EU is by far the biggest donor to Serbia. We are also the most important commercial partner and the biggest source of foreign direct investment in the economy of the country. This is further proof, if any were needed, of the EU's commitment to Serbia's future. I'm looking forward for our partnership and cooperation to thrive in the future. This year has proven to be one of the unprecedented challenges, but I'm pleased to see that the EU, Serbia, and the Western Balkans are more broadly able to address them by working together closely. And our engagement will continue, including through the economic and investment plan for the region that we will propose in the autumn to support the economic recovery from COVID-19 crisis, modernize the economies through long-term investments and support reforms. And let me also take the opportunity to congratulate President Vučić for addressing very effectively and quickly the COVID-19 crisis. Thank you very much for your attention.
We would kindly ask President of the Republic of Serbia, President Aleksandar Vučić, to take the floor. First of all, distinguished Commissioner Várhelyi, Your Excellency, Mr. Fabrizi, Madam Joksimović, Your Excellencies, ambassadors of the EU countries, I'm just wondering myself how our friend Olivér meticulously and accurately managed to say. Is there something that you are reading from, Olivér? Because this was fantastic. It is impossible that a man speaks without a single mistake, but I guess that once we will be able to have this ability to read and not to make mistakes. If you did not read, then chapeau. I want to thank you, first of all, dear Commissioner Várhelyi, for actually, because we know in Serbia how much effort and work you invested to help people in our country. And just like we are grateful to all the EU member states, one day someone will say, which Jadranka also said, how much money we would get if we were the EU member state and how much money we get as a country which is not a member yet, in the country that is on its European path. And as someone who is taking care of the state money and a lot, and I worry a bit even today, I have always known to pay the biggest respect for the money to the people who are not even obliged to give that money to us. So thank you for these 70 million euros. I want to immensely thank you for the 98 million that we are about to get by the end of the year. And I want to convey this message to the people in Serbia. This is not an obligation of either country of EU to spend the money of their taxpayers on us. They could simply spend this for their needs. They could do whatever they want with this money. And this is why I'm really grateful. And I want to thank all the member states. I want to thank you. I want to thank the European administration, which made this decision for about this money, which is a lot of money. This is not small amount of money. This is small for those who don't know what a million means, and let alone 70 million, but 170 million euros for Serbia altogether. I would just like to say, and I want to speak how these funds are allocated, how they will be spent, because this is what EU perfectly said in new Commissioner Várhelyi. Municipalities in Serbia are today, financially speaking, really a weak link in this chain comparing to the government. This part of decentralized state has problem with public finance, or at least a part of it, while the central state has no problems with public finance. And I analyzed something, and I will surprise you with this. I analyzed regions with the applications for this €100, which this is like a census of population. People applied for this money the same percentage. And for the first time, I came to the conclusion that almost 50% of population live in Belgrade and region around Belgrade. South Bačka okrug, Sremski County, Mačva County, Sabdenjev okrug, County, and half of Serbia lives there. And then you realize how important this is, and what you from Europe insist on, to invest into the southwestern part of the country, central Serbia, and north of Vojvodina, which is poorer than part around Novi Sad and Srem. And this is why we are grateful, because you taught us that, and because we could learn a lot from you, and to see how important to invest in micro enterprises, to invest into small enterprises, into the entrepreneurial spirit. And these 98 million that are going to be allocated also for the energy efficiency, for environmental protection, which is of the utmost importance. Before the corona outbreak and the weather conditions in January, February are such that people noticed, remember my discussions with Mr. Fabrizi, people were noticing that you have polluted air. Now nobody's interested in pollution when we have some bigger problems, but we have to come back to that issue. And we want to come back to this issue. We want to improve the situation of environment in our country, but without the support from Europe, without your support, we would not be able to do this. We wouldn't even know how to tackle this, how to do that. This way, you are going to partly help us with the money, and we will also invest even more money to be able to follow Europe when it comes to the environmental protection as well. European Union is, beyond any doubt, the biggest source of foreign direct investment, and I want to inform you, Commissioner Várhelyi, that in the first quarter we had 837 million euro of FDIs. It is 3.7% higher, regardless of horrible March. This was 3.7% more than in the same period last year, and in that regard, we are obviously in this part of the Europe the ones who succeeded to be really, really good, and we are grateful to the EU member states, because the biggest part of this FDIs comes from the EU member states. Speaking about the growth, we have 5.1 in the first quarter. It was 6.1 growth in the last quarter in the last quarter of 2019, and I hope that we are going to do quite well in the second, third, or fourth quarter, according to the estimations of the World Bank and the IMF, but we will difficultly manage all this without the EU's help. There is another important issue before us here today. People, both in Serbia, but I also say many other countries that have become EU member states, were speaking about the money they get. Money is important. It is really important, and I would never underestimate money. And this is why I'm very grateful for really, really important amounts of money that you allocate to the Republic of Serbia. I want people in Serbia to know that we have the support from the EU for, let's say, a road that should revive our Toplica region. Not even speaking about our relations with Pristina, and that both ships from Gračanica will be able easily to reach Niš or Belgrade. I'm speaking about the road Niš, Prokuplje, Kuršumlija, Merdare, Pristina. So we will get 20% grants, 20% of free of charge funds from the EIB. So that's a lot of money for us. I want people in Serbia to know this, because we must show respect for the money that we get from your taxpayers. Just like we want people in our country to show respect for the investment that state is making and that you are also making. So I believe that it is really important to speak about the fact that Serbia expects distinguished Commissioner Várhelyi to get not a clear perspective only, but to hear that somebody speaking about Serbia's EU membership. We know that one will always be able to say you have to implement reforms, you have to resolve your problems with Pristina. We know all that. But we would only want you to have a clear message. So if this is done, I'm not referring to you personally about this, because you're really a proven friend of this country. So if someone just can say, come on, people, do something, and you will be a member of the European Union. We would like to have a bit even more clear situation in that regard, but we are grateful, and not only that we are going to endure, but we are going to try to accelerate and speed up our European path. We know that we are not an ideal country, and there are a lot others that are not ideal, but I do understand that those who are members of the club, it's a bit difficult to reproach something to those who are already members of the club. But anyway, we are going to continue with serious reforms, difficult and hard work. And I kindly ask you once again, as a man of huge reputation, that you have both here among our people and not only within the EU administration, to additionally help us and to try to speed up Serbia's European path. When I say EU path of Serbia, I'm not selfish. I'm not referring only to Serbia. I'm referring, and I think of other countries in the region. I refer to Montenegro and many others. So I believe that Balkan countries do belong to the EU, and you will never hear that kind of selfishness from me that you can hear on some other sides. And here we will do our best to arrange our relations in a bit better way and undisturbed flow of good capital, services, and people, and then to see and expect the same from the EU. Thank you very much. Thank you for your engagement. Sorry for taking you so much time. I want to thank you once again. We have almost all ambassadors of the EU countries to the Republic of Serbia. It was not difficult for them to come to attend this meeting today, which shows their respect for our country, and I'm very, very grateful to them for being here today with us. Thank you once again. Thank you, President. Now we're going to questions. Unfortunately, due to obligations of our interlocutors, we have time for 2 questions for each speaker. Tamara Stojsaljević, RTS. First question for both participants of this conference, both for the President of Serbia and for Commissioner Várhelyi. Yesterday, actually, the day before yesterday, President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, presented a plan for the EU recovery after coronavirus, which is 750 billion euros worth. Can Serbia count on anything from those assets, at least for a small portion of those funds, those 750 billion euros? And question for Commissioner Várhelyi. Soon we will have elections here in Serbia. What are your expectations, speaking about the upcoming elections? Thank you very much. Commissioner, you can take the floor if you can hear us.
Thank you.
Come on,
Thank you very much. Yes, The Commission has adopted this week a recovery plan that consists of two elements. The first is the well-known multi-annual financial framework, the so-called MFF. And the other one is to address specifically the COVID crisis, the economic crisis that this pandemic has caused. I have good news for the entire region and also for Serbia. We will try to engage Serbia and the other Western Balkan countries as much as we can into the recovery side of the package as well. This means that we will propose to the member states additional funding under the IPA, the pre-accession instrument, to be able to start quickly with the recovery, economic recovery work. And we are also proposing additional funding under the NDICI, which is for the future, which is for the whole neighborhood. That includes also the Western Balkans. Maybe it's too early to talk about numbers, but we try to include the Western Balkans, as we have been doing under this Commission, in as many areas that are currently reserved for member states where we can, because it is not only that the pandemic that we have to fight together, but also the economic recovery we should do together. And on top of this, we are coming forward, I hope very soon, I hope very early in the autumn, with the economic development and investment plan for the entire region. So yes, my answer is yes to the question whether Serbia can receive help from the EU recovery plan. On the second question, on the elections, well, it is not for any commissioner to interfere in national elections. We have still, I think, issues to be addressed when it comes to participation. I do encourage, just like I did when I was in Belgrade earlier this year, I do encourage everybody, all political parties, to participate in the elections. This is the validation of democracy. This is the most important part in democratic life. So I encourage everybody to actively participate in the elections. We will render support in terms of monitoring. We expect all the rules to be followed that have been created and also that have been negotiated between the political parties. So I have high hopes that we will have free, fair elections in Serbia, and after that, an even stronger government, so that we can quickly engage and speed up the reforms so that we can make even bigger progress. Thank you.
I believe that what Commissioner Várhelyi said are great news for Serbia. We did not expect any money, not a single dinar from this fund of 750 billion. This is an excellent news, not only for Serbia, but for everybody in the Western Balkans. This is surprisingly good news for us in Serbia, what you have just said, Commissioner Várhelyi. We believe this is fair, but we did not expect, we didn't hope to hear this, but we are really happy and a bit stunned, so to say. No matter what the amounts are, these amounts will certainly not be insignificant. And I'm really happy because Commissioner Várhelyi said something twice in his speech, is that we wait an autumn investment development plan, economic plan for the entire region. This is something which the entire Western Balkans is awaiting with really great and due care and attention, and hopes we will follow the developments in Brussels and to see, to get more significant support. But what's important for us is that we are satisfied if the EU spends as much money as it can on itself and on its EU member states, because 2/3 of our foreign trade is with the EU member states. The stronger they are, the stronger we get. The faster the strongest countries of the EU get stronger, and those who are not that strong, the faster we will get stronger. So each recovery plan, each investment into the EU countries is a strong signal that Serbian economy can get stronger in a much faster way, and then we can have incomparably less problems than we expected. Speaking about the second question, I just say how Mr. Várhelyi is experienced politician, and he immediately said that it's not up to him to interfere apart from the recommendations given by the EU. I expect from the citizens of Serbia and from nobody else. I have the expectations only when it comes to the citizens of Serbia. The citizens of Serbia are the ones who decide on participation in the elections and on who they will give their trust to. But once again, I want to immensely thank you for this great news for us, and I immensely thank you for the care that you show for Serbia. When I say Serbia, I always refer to Serbia and everybody else, but somehow, if you observe from different parameters, Serbia is almost a half of the Western Balkans. So we cannot make without them, neither they can make it without us. It just takes a bit time for all of us to understand, and then we'll have everything good within the European Union. Thank you once again. Thank you for your fairness and the care and attention for this great news. Thank you. Željko Vučković, Tanjug Agency. Željko, the floor is yours. Thank you. First question is for Mr. Várhelyi. Speaking about financing from IPA funds, Serbia pays great attention to projects related to regional cooperation. So I'm interested, what's your view on Serbia's efforts in that direction, which are supported by your political messages and initiatives like Small Schengen? And how do you see strivings of some countries from our region that want to avoid regional framework and maybe even a framework in which Serbia has a significant part? And the question for you, Mr. President, also is about the region. Our neighbors, speaking about the interest for the solutions for the issue of Kosovo and Metohija, usually call for interests of the regions, but when it comes to the border opening, flow of people, goods, and capital, they forget about the region and they're guided by some other interests. So I want to know what your understanding of all this.
Thank you very much for the question. On regional cooperation, I think this is one of the areas that that the crisis has helped to put on the table and to make work. And I'm really grateful for the entire region. What we have seen was a very good example how regional cooperation can contribute to the survival of the economy. I'm having the Green Lane initiative in mind. I was really pleased to see that all the countries in the region, without a question, have implemented it very quickly. This is something that we need to build on. This is something that we will need to use also after the crisis. So regional cooperation is key, and I'm very happy to see that there is openness throughout the region to reinforce that. This is going to be very important when it will come to the implementation of the economic development and investment plan. Of course, projects could only have a real impact for the entire region if we take a regional approach and we try to raise the economy for the entire region. So projects will have to be created at regional level. And I have encouraged already all the countries in the region to approach it that way. But I think we have seen a very clear and very positive test already made through the green lanes. And again, I thank everybody who has who made this happen.
Only a few words. Serbia is for full freedom and free flow of people, goods, capital, and services, absolutely without any limitations. I believe that we have demonstrated this in our relations towards all the neighbors. We open borders with our Hungarian friends fully and absolutely with the Bulgarian friends. We are about to open the border on Monday. In 2 days, we are going to absolutely and fully open the border. We are ready to do the same with everybody else. We have no problems in doing that with Bosnia and Herzegovina and North Macedonia. I believe that this is already operational, this is working, and we will always strive for that because we believe, not only because this is the European acquis or European value and this brings benefit to the citizens of Serbia, but for everybody in the region. And if you allow me, dear Željko, just mention two remarks. One is political issue of relationship towards Kosovo and Metohija. You have countries that have recognized, countries that did not recognize independence of Kosovo. In accordance with that, there are different ways of interpretation of discussions between Belgrade and Pristina, and they will always take the positions based on the decisions they made in 2008. This is one limiting circumstance for Serbia. This is why I always thought that frozen conflict is a bad solution. This is why I always thought it is important to have discussions and to find solutions in order to be able, by taking care of our national interest, how to be able in the best possible way to promote and improve our economy and to enable better life for the young people. The second thing, you must have in mind one more thing. Serbia will always be a disturbance for some once it gets stronger. Nobody had anything to do for Serbia when we had 150 euros lower average salary than Montenegro, when we had 45 euro lower average salary than Bosnia and Herzegovina. This was only a few years ago. This was only 4, 5, 6 years ago, once when we had the same salary like in Macedonia and lower salaries, average salaries than in Albania. We didn't bother anybody. We were champions in democracy and everything, but with one thing in mind, our country was a country without future. Our people lived far worse than today. But now, when Serbia managed to be in front of many countries speaking about economic development, that very moment, it is not that everybody wants to see success. And this is something that is also quite normal. It is not strange. You will have similar situations in life all the time. It is important for us to have the support of the European Union. It is important that Europe sees and recognizes our efforts to improve our country, speaking about economy. But we will have to work a lot more, put more efforts in the rule of law. And the very difficult task is going to be to sit and talk. If we would be able to find someone to talk to in Pristina, to speak about our future relations, which I believe is of key importance for the future of the region, because Serbs and Albanians are two biggest nations in the Western Balkans. So we must have organized good relations if we want to live in peace. Once again, I want to thank Commissioner Várhelyi and to say that we are immensely thankful and grateful for your huge support, for your huge help, and that we will keep working on development of Serbia. And we do want to belong to the family of the European people with full understanding of what our tasks are, and with a plea to get always the clearest possible answer whether Brussels wants Serbia or not. But such a big support and such a big help is something that we not only applaud, but we highly appreciate, and you will be able to see in each place in our country. Thank you. I want to thank all the member states, all the citizens of the European Union who help us a lot. And you, I dare say, tickled our hope, what we can do and what we can expect and see in autumn package. But no matter what comes, we are going to be happy. We're going to show our utmost gratitude. And we will know by ourselves to earn our money, but with your help, with your money, I believe that we will manage to further reproduce this money in a much better way. I wish you a lot more success in further work. I wish you success and quick recovery. I wish a quick recovery to the EU. The faster you recover, the faster Serbia will recover. Thank you once again, and I wish you all the best. Thank you, Mr. President. Dear colleagues, thank you. We hereby today's ceremony.